Hi, I'm Lisa Rangel with Chameleon Resumes. We are the premier executive resume writing company. And thank you so much for joining me today. Today's topic is something that I have written about on and off for the last 6, 7 years. And I think it's really important for either upcoming leaders or current leaders to embrace, because I really believe it can set them apart from the sea of leaders that are applying for jobs and vying for promotion. So today's topic is how to stand out in erratic economic times. So the bottom line is the only thing that's constant is change, right? I can't recall who said that quote. It's clearly not mine, but that is really the only thing that is constant is change. And whether it's a long-term economic boom, which we've been in for now about 8, 9, 10 years, or it's a recession that we experienced about 10 years ago, and again prior to 10 years, about 8, 9 years before that, or if it's a short-term situation that puts us in a little bit of a crisis. It could be global, it could be local, or a short-term boom to capitalize upon, or surge to capitalize upon. So I think that it really doesn't matter whether things are good or bad. And let's be honest, right? I mean, no matter what situation we're in, either on a global perspective or a local perspective to your own particular area, there's always going to be someone who's going to be viewing that situation as good and someone who's viewing that situation as bad. And so, there's really only, again, it's just the only constant is change. And so I really firmly believe, and this is something that I've written about, it's something that we work with one-on-one with our clients, is, how do you showcase yourself and your achievements, but in such a way that shows that you are someone who can capitalize on change, can thrive when things are not so good, and show that you are the person that they want to have on their team leading the charge, no matter what the situation is before them. But more importantly, I want to take this a step further, and I'll tell you what inspired me to talk about this today. I want to take that a step further. It's really about making sure that you are showing that you are a proactive person who can anticipate change and be prepared for it, no matter which way it goes, and not someone who's simply reacting to it. Now, don't get me wrong. Reacting to situations is really important because we can't predict everything. But, we have been in an economic surge now for the last 8, 9, 10 years. And regardless of who is in office, regardless of what you feel about the current political climate, the odds are we are going to have a downturn at some point. It may come naturally based on some of the economic indicators that are predicting that, or it may come based on an event that happens over the next, year or two or so. And I'm certainly not in the economic prediction game by any stretch of the imagination. But, what I'll tell you is, based on the odds, and a downturn is probably coming, right? Because simply based on the fact that what goes up must come down. So I think it's important to simply be prepared. And you want to show in your resume how you are prepared for these situations, that you are somebody who anticipates, that you are someone who can capitalize on being ready of what may come, and having not only a plan A, but a plan B, C, D, E, maybe even a few more letters. So this way you have options that you can put into motion based on what happens in the near and long-term future. So what inspired me to do the video on this topic today, even though I've written about it before and it's something we work with our clients on a one-on-one basis on a daily basis, is recently Bain & Company, the premier management company, came up with an article that they published just recently, and it's called, bear with me, Beyond the Downturn, Recession Strategies to Take the Lead. And this was on the Bain & Company, their company blog, and it was written by Tom Holland and Jeff Kazin. I think I'm pronouncing that right, I'm not sure. But Tom and Jeff write about the fact that leaders need to go on the offense. And I really think that is the essence of what sets amazing leaders apart from good leaders, because it's really about being on the offense. You need to prepare for what could be most likely an upcoming downturn, whether again it's in a year, whether it's in 3 years, who knows. But I think the key is when you've had an economic run that's been positive for the last 8, 9, 10 years, and it's one of the longest ones ever. I think it's only a matter of time, and the key is it would be prudent to be ready and show that you are proactive and disruptive in capitalizing on that possible situation, and not someone who's simply reactive and disrupted by what may come in the next couple of years. So Bain, in this particular article, what intrigued me is they analyzed 3,900 companies, and those that prepared for these particular 4 areas that I'm going to list for you can straighten a company's wallet. It can also, strengthen their market share following that economic downturn. So, what are those 4 areas? Oh, and by the way, I'm putting in the description the link to the Bain article, because I want you to be able to dive into it more deeply. So this way you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go through the 4 items that the authors mentioned in the article, but I'm going to add one more and make it a 5th that I want you to be prepared for. So what are the 4 areas that Bain says that you should be prepared for? The first is, you want to make sure that you're doing proactive cost restructuring. Really analyze where you can save money, not only in the short term, but in the long term, without penalizing the nature of the business, whether it's, a sales function or an operational execution function. You want to make sure that you are not cutting into the muscle, but really just making sure that you're eliminating the excess that really can go away and that maybe isn't serving your company as much anymore. The second is, demonstrating financial discipline and, showing that you're making decisions in a fiscally responsible way and in a proactive way. Third is aggressive commercial plays, really looking at and surveying the marketplace and seeing where you can capitalize on an opportunity that can help you advance particular product sales, service sales, enter new markets, and really look at things in a unique way. And the 4th item that Bain mentions is, proactive merger and acquisition. So, not all growth can be organic, and, look at smaller organizations or even similar sized organizations that you can either engage in a partnership with, or merge the companies or acquire the company. So that can be a way to do growth as well. And again, it's being proactive and surveying the marketplace now, so you can see where the opportunities may be in the eventuality of some sort of downturn of some kind. And the 4th one I'm going to add, actually, the 5th one I'm going to add. Bain gave you 4. I'm going to give you 1 more, which will be 5. So the 5th one that I'm going to add is to look at strategic talent acquisition. Based on those 4 items, what talent are you going to need, whether it's internally to raise them through the ranks, or externally that you need to recruit for, to make sure you have the right talent in place, and to make sure that you're able to capitalize on those 4 items, and who's going to be able to execute them within your company. Now, having the right people on board prior to any, economic shift is really paramount, because you want to make sure you have the team players on board that are going to be able to not only weather that storm, but thrive in that storm. An economic downturn, to me, doesn't necessarily have to be an excuse, a logical, automatic excuse as to why things go down. An economic downturn can be an opportunity, a huge opportunity based on how you view things. So you can still capitalize or turn something around even in the event of a downturn. So, I find that it's important to make sure that your resume and your LinkedIn profile showcase this. And I think it's important to show that you are someone who not only reacted successfully, but was proactive about anticipating what may come and being ready for it in that way. And I think that nowadays is the difference between good leaders and great leaders. And companies are looking for the individuals not only who are demonstrating that they have done the items in the job posting or the job description, but those that are taking it a step further and showing how they are anticipating what economic situations may be coming, good or bad, and not getting swept up in, an emotionality of a particular economic season, and showing that they can capitalize and they can win and they can thrive and they can grow no matter what the situation is economically around them, either on a local or a global basis. And I think that's the key that you want to depict in your resume in order to stand out in erratic economic times. It doesn't matter really who's in office. It doesn't matter, you know, either locally or globally. It doesn't matter what economic shifts happen around the globe. The guarantee is they're going to happen, right? Someone's going to be in office, whether you like them or not, and you know there's going to be economic shifts around the globe. So the key is, how do you capitalize on that, and how do you present yourself as somebody who capitalizes on that and embraces it? And that's how you're going to set yourself apart as a leader who thrives in erratic economic times. So I'm going to encourage you to go to the description and, you know, dive into that Bain article if you have time. I really thought it was eye-opening, and you know, summarize what we've been doing as a practice with our clients for the last few years. And I also have our link in there for our daily tips, which you can sign up for if you'd like. If you like the content in this video and you want to be notified of similar content in your inbox, I would sign up for the daily tips. And the last thing I'm going to suggest is, if you haven't yet, you know, please subscribe to my YouTube channel here. Right below the video here is the subscription button that you can click on. And so this way you'll be notified every time I put out a new video, which has been once a week now. So thank you so much. Again, Lisa Rangel, Chameleon Resumes, the premier executive resume writing company. And I thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great one.